Again, good morning, everyone. You might want to greet everybody in your own language or languages. You may use the chat box to do that. So magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. We're joined by a lot of you from all over the Philippines. So maayong buntag, naimbag abigat, maupay nga aga sa mga tanan. Good morning. Maupay na aga, maayong buntag sa tanan. Good morning again, everyone, and welcome to the first of the 3 webinars in this series brought to you by the Ateneo Center for English Language Teaching and the Department of Education. So allow me to express our gratitude to DepEd Secretary Sonny Angara, Undersecretary Dr. Wilfredo Cabral, Assistant Secretary, our very own Dr. Carmela Oracion, and the National Educators Academy of the Philippines, or NAEP, through the leadership of Director Dr. Jennifer Lopez for their support. This webinar series is part of ASEL's mission to upgrade the standards in English language and literature education in the country and its neighboring countries by providing basic and higher education teachers, teacher trainers, and educational and school leaders with programs that are based on contextualized approaches to English language teaching, which are anchored on current pedagogical issues and developments in the use of English in the country and the region. We now have about 255 people in the room. Can you all hear me before I continue? Give me a thumbs up, please. All right, thank you. So this first of the 3 webinars focuses on navigating old and new DepEd language policies, bridging the gap in teaching English in multilingual settings. For this webinar, we have 2 objectives. The webinar, as you know, is primarily for school administrators. So I hope that most of you who are here with us today are school administrators, and we will focus on the current language policies in the Philippine educational system and how a first language-based multilingual strategy in teaching English is prioritized to improve learning outcomes and literacy despite policy-related changes. Key discussions will include administrative practices that support theory-based curriculum delivery, such as translanguaging techniques in the classroom. The session will also underscore the crucial role of school administrators, those of you who are here, in aligning pedagogy with policy and creating effective language learning environments that honor local contexts and prepare learners for global opportunities. I am Cecilia A. Suarez, or Cheche, Executive Director of the Ateneo Center for English Language Teaching. I'm your moderator and also a panel member in today's webinar. With me are 3 well-respected educators in the country. I will introduce each of them before their respective turns. Our first panel member is Ms. Ayet Ferriols. She is currently taking up Doctor of Philosophy in Applied Linguistics at the De La Salle University, Manila, where she also earned her Master of Arts degree in teaching the English language. She holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in English and graduated magna cum laude from the Polytechnic University of the Philippines. She taught English in a number of universities and local higher education institutions, including the De La Salle University and the National University in Manila. And she was involved in various research and training on language teaching before finally becoming a curriculum specialist in English for the Department of Education Central Office. As part of the Bureau of Curriculum Development, The nature of our work involves crafting the national curriculum framework, standards, and policies, and managing and providing technical assistance in various programs such as capacity building of teachers and development of learners' materials. Currently, she serves as the supervising education program specialist for English and Mother Tongue and the program lead for the NRP or the National Reading Program. Everyone, please help me welcome Ms. Ayet Ferriols, who will talk about English education and policy in basic education. Ms. Ayet?
Thank you very much, Doc Che. Thank you very much to ASELT for having us again here in this very prestigious platform, reaching out to hundreds of our internal stakeholders and even external stakeholders from the Department of Education. So Doc Che and everyone, please give me a minute as I transition to my slides. Okay, allow me to share my screen in a while. Wait lang po. Can everybody see my screen? Yes, okay. Thank you very much. Okay, so I am going to talk to you this morning about English education and policy in basic education. So as you know, it's a very tumultuous time in the Department of Education as we straddle in between two existing language and education policies. Specifically, we have the mother tongue-based multilingual education and the introduction of a new law that is RA 12027, or an act discontinuing the use of mother tongue as medium of instruction from kindergarten to grade 3, providing for its optional implementation in monolingual classes, and amending for the purpose sections 4 and 5 of RA 10533. So title pa lang po, marami na po talaga tayong pag-uusapan. Okay, so to those who are not yet familiar with this law aims to address challenges faced by the MTB MLE program. And if you're internal to the Department of Education, I'm sure that you're no stranger to the challenges that arose, okay, along with the implementation of MTB-MLE, despite, of course, its lofty goals. As you know, the program struggled with limited resources, lack of teacher training, and the complexity of developing standardized materials for over 180 languages in the Philippines. So definitely, this endeavor is such a Herculean task for the Department of Education. And so naturally, it was met with a lot of challenges. And also, a lot of batikos po from our politiko. Ayan. It offers flexibility. RA 12027, when it was drafted by Senator Win Gatchalian and all the other senators who supported it, it offered flexibility for monolingual classes where all students use the same mother tongue to continue to be used as regional languages or optional instructional tools, provided that certain conditions are met, like availability of teachers, materials, and trained teachers. Now, the Department of Education, specifically our office, along with the legal office and other relevant offices, were tasked to oversee the transition from MTB-MLE to RA 12027 and ensure compliance with this new law by implementing first a language mapping framework to identify where monolingual classes may exist. And so, we allow the continued use of mother tongues in certain cases. But the goal at the end of the day is to ensure that there's a smooth transition to the new system while addressing the diverse linguistic realities of the country. You know, I have been telling people, Doc Che, and to everyone, that I am privileged and I am honored to be part of certain tables wherein discussions lead to certain decisions. And this is one of them. Matagal po naming nilaban, and Doc Che, along with ASELT, I think we were together when we were still talking about the possibility of RA 12027 becoming a law. Ano po? And I have been very vocal about being lucky enough to be part of the conceptualization stage of this particular law. Nilaban po talaga natin ang paggamit ng ating wika, ang paggamit ng mga Philippine languages sa atin pong mga classroom because this is the correct direction for education. Unfortunately, our leaders and our senators, our lawmakers, they are concerned with the complex realities of the field, what's actually happening on the ground. Ayan po ang kanilang focus. And so they couldn't reconcile theory with reality. And this is the best that we can come up with. I know that this is not a perfect law. This is not what we hoped for. This is not what we want. But this is the best that we got. Okay? We discontinue the use of mother tongue as medium of instruction from kindergarten to grade 3. But there is an option for you, especially if you are already thriving in MTBMLE, there is an option for you to make use of MTBMLE still by creating monolingual classes. Okay? So we'll get to that more later on. Right now, let's talk about the implications of RA 12027 to RA 10533. Ito po yung Enhanced Basic Education Act. If you take a look specifically at a portion of Section 4, okay? As seen in this slide, ito pong bullet na ito, no? For kindergarten and the first 3 years of elementary education, instruction, teaching materials and assessment shall be in the regional or native language of the learners. The Department of Education shall formulate a mother tongue transition program from grade 4 to grade 6 so that Filipino and English shall be gradually introduced as languages of instruction until such time when these two languages can become the primary languages of instruction at the secondary level. So as you know, this was our initial direction. Unfortunately, some parts of this section did not come through. Specifically, ito pong language transition program natin in the second key stage or grades 4 to 6. Okay, which until now is not yet being developed, or if it is being developed, it has not yet been finalized by the central office, and so this document was not implemented in the field. Ano? This has a direct impact in the new language policy or RA 12027 dahil hindi na po talaga natin ito magagawa. Unless, of course, you are going to offer monolingual classes. And so this portion of RA 10533 will still remain the same to you. Another portion that is directly impacted by RA 12027 is a portion of Section 5, okay? And you will find it here on this slide. So on this bullet, we have the curriculum shall adhere to the basic principles and framework of MTBMLE, which starts from where the learners are and from what they already know, proceeding from the known to the unknown. Instructional materials and capable teachers to implement the MTBMLE curriculum shall be made available. This also has very heavy implications for the new curriculum because as you know, we are currently rolling out the Matatag curriculum or the revised/enhanced curriculum for grades K to 10. Okay? Now, if our curriculum is already anchored on Section 5 of RA 10533, then what is the meaning of this now as we undergo this new law, RA 12027, okay? What's going to be directly impacted are the following. First, the language framework of K-3 and our declared medium of instruction for the K-3 learning areas. And so that is what I'm going to talk to you about this morning. As you know, and if you take a look at the shaping paper of all of our languages curricula, we currently have 4. We have reading and literacy and language in grade 1, which are offered using the mother tongue. And we also have Filipino and English, which are offered in grade 2. Okay? Now, the language framework is present in the shaping papers of these curriculum guides. And you will find this diagram right there. So this framework reiterates that the first language serves as the language and literacy resource prior to the introduction and learning of other languages. No matter how many laws revise MTBMLE or RA 10533, this continues to be a fact. And therefore, we are not going to retract this in our curriculum, and this language framework will stay the same. So we maintain in the Bureau of Curriculum Development that the language and literacy resource, which refers to the collective schema, the background knowledge, everything that your young learners know about language, about their experiences, about their society and their culture prior to education and learning, okay, everything that they know about media, everything that they know about the home, all of that is naturally in their mother tongue. Nasa native language po nila yan. And so, despite the presence of RA 12027, and even if we change this language framework, that fact remains the same. Your mother tongue will still have a role, not just in learning about math and science, but also in learning about other languages like Filipino and English. When we learn about different languages, we always go back to the mother tongue because that is the language that we know best. That is the language of our brain. That is the language of our schema. And so we maintain the use of this language framework wherein mother tongue has space in the teaching and learning of both Filipino and English. Kapag po tayo yung nagturo ng English, okay, because ASELT is concerned with English language teaching, when we teach English and when we learn English, inevitably, the mother tongue plays a role in that. Okay? We talk to ourselves in mother tongue. You are going to talk to your learners in their mother tongue para po magkaintindihan kayo. And you are going to work towards that goal of developing communicative competence or proficiency in the English language. And so this language framework, although it is directly impacted by RA 12027, we are not going to retract it. The language framework stays the same. Next, we have the MOTL Continuum, okay? MOTL stands for Medium of Teaching and Learning. This is one of the hidden documents. So you're very lucky that you registered today. Ano po? This is one of the unpublished diagrams that we worked on with Brother Ricky, with Ma'am Ruth Gutierrez, who are here with us today. This is one of the diagrams that we worked on, I think, for around 4 years, ever since the pandemic until 2024, we were trying to figure out how we're going to introduce a new language policy that is adherent to MTBMLE prior to the release of RA 12027. And so we came up with this continuum. And as you can see, if you take a look at the table, you will find that each language corresponds to a certain color. So MT is green, Filipino is orange, and English is yellow. And the brightness of the color, the intensity of the color, correlates to the frequency of use. So mapapansin niyo po, no, matingkad na matingkad po ang kulay ng mother tongue sa first key stage. And you will find that the mother tongue is not absent in key stage 2 and 3. It continues to exist. Although the color is a little bit, it's less bright, it's less intense, but still, it is existent, which means that even though there is no explicit focus in mother tongue as a subject anymore, we encourage you to use mother tongue during the formative years, and that's the first key stage. As you use mother tongue, okay, we are also concurrently developing proficiencies in Filipino and English. Kaya po makikita ninyo dyan, introduce na po ang Filipino and English, although the brightness of their colors is not as bright as or the intensity of their colors is not as intense as mother tongue, because this is where they're still starting to learn about Filipino and English, especially for those learners who are not in melting pots like Metro Manila, kung saan hindi naman po pervasive ang paggamit ng Filipino at Ingles. Halimbawa po sa Cebu, sa Davao, sa Ilocos, mas ginagamit niyo po ang inyong mother tongue. And so, this continuum tries to accommodate that reality. Okay? And as you can see, as early as in the first key stage, all of these three languages are already present. We're not going to limit the exposure of our children na, okay, empty ka lang muna kasi sabi ng batas, walang iba kung hindi empty. That's not realistic, okay? We are going to accommodate all of the languages that are present in the Philippines, and that includes Filipino and English as our national language and as official language. Okay? So all of these are present in the first key stage, but you will find that in the second key stage, we are going to slowly transition to the official languages and the target language of education, which are Filipino and English. Dito na po tayo patungo, which means that all, okay, if not all, then most languages would have to be delivered using Filipino and English. But you will find in this diagram that mother tongue still plays a key role. Because if your learners do not understand what you're trying to teach, then you're going to fail. And so in order for you to refrain from failing, pupunta po tayo at gagamitin po natin yun pong wika na naiintindihan po nating lahat. Okay? And that is the mother tongue. And so we maintain, in the Bureau of Curriculum Development, we are still trying to find a way to inject this continuum, ano po, as we craft the implementing rules and regulations for RA 12027, we are trying to find a way to make space for mother tongue. Kahit na hindi na po siya subject, but as medium of teaching and learning because that is the reality. That is what's currently happening. Kahit po sabihin ninyong hindi, alam po namin na kapag hindi naman po kami nag-monitor at nag-evaluate sa inyo, gumagamit po kayo ng mother tongue and there is nothing wrong with that because that is how we make the students understand what we are trying to teach. But okay, ladies and gentlemen, don't misconstrue that because our goal in key stages 2 and 3 is the full development of Filipino and English in academic settings. Okay? Doon po tayo patungo. Pwedeng gamitin ng mother tongue, yes, but when we assess them, you use the target languages. Okay? Okay. Now, you will also find in the shaping paper our continuum for literacy. Because as you know, tahi-tahi po yan no? It's a very complicated and interwoven web of problems. So our problems right now with illiteracy also stems from our lack of focus in our language and education policies. But we want to make it clear and that is why we made it explicit in the shaping paper what we want to achieve throughout key stages 1 to 3 in terms of literacy. So you will find here, okay, ang target po natin is Filipino and English. But again, if we go back to the language framework, when we target Filipino and English, we always naturally go back to the mother tongue. So even though in grade 1, quarters 1 and 2, we target for oracy for literacy in Filipino and English, and then basic literacy in quarters 3 and 4, mother tongue plays a role. It plays a very significant role in developing literacy in these target languages. By grades 2 and 3, up until the second key stage, we aim for them to develop applied and critical literacy. So this is a different level of literacy where our students go from basic literacy to higher forms of literacy, critical thinking, being able to infer from different situations or different texts, being able to determine the veracity of information, make evaluations and judgments. Dito na po yan papasok sa key stage 2. And you know, since we're targeting higher order thinking skills and at the same time, we are helping our learners develop their proficiencies in Filipino and English, it is inevitable that we make use still of the mother tongue in order to aid the development of higher order thinking skills. Ito pong HOTS o higher order thinking skills ay hindi natatali lamang sa iisang target language. When we say HOTS, it's not just in Filipino or in English, it could also be in the mother tongue. It will be initially, first and foremost, in the mother tongue. Until finally, we go to key stage 3, where our goal now shifts to multi-literacies, communicative competence, being able to analyze, evaluate, and produce texts. Dahil po matataas na naman po ang hinihingi natin dito, we're not just aiming for proficiency in Filipino and English. All of these will have to be anchored on being able to think critically in the mother tongue as well. That will always be the prerequisite. And so this language arts continuum will not be successful without the role of mother tongue. And I hope that we're all on the same page with that because that is what is true. Ayun po yung tama. Ano po? No matter what law our senators pass, okay, mananatili pong ito po ang katotohanan. And so, our curriculum, because the curriculum document has to be non-partisan, it has to be non-political, it will always lean towards what is right and what the literature says. And so, we maintain this language arts continuum. Now, Speaking of the IRR for RA 12027, if you take a look at the DepEd website, we have drafted an IRR back in November 2024. But you will find that upon the release of this version of the IRR, medyo nasa finalization stage na po siya, you will find some changes in the November 2024 version and in the finalized version. Okay? But these are some of the bullets that stayed the same. Unfortunately, I'm not yet at liberty to share with you the signed IRR. So what I can only share with you is the November 2024 version, which is already made public through the DepEd website. So right there, you will find that, okay, according to the IRR, the DepEd shall develop a language mapping policy. Okay? That is where everything begins. And this is where MTB MLE should have begun. Dapat po meron muna tayong datos in the form of a language map. And this will establish a framework and process, okay, for the implementation of monolingual classes. Remember that RA 12027, despite it discontinuing MTB-MLE or the use of mother tongue in the first key stage, it still allows for options to implement monolingual classes. So again, if you're doing well with MTB-MLE, you are free to continue that as long as you are backed up by a language map. Okay? You are backed up by evidence that MTB-MLE is working for you. And we will welcome that in the DepEd Central Office. Next, DepEd shall implement a language mapping at the school level. Hindi na po kami aasa sa regions para gawin yung language map because the language map has to be at the lowest level of governance, and that is the school. Because we understand na sa loob ng school mismo, maaaring maraming wika po dyan. And so we want to accommodate that because we want a proper identification and classification of learners based on their mother tongue. Hindi na po namin sila ikakahon sa kung ano ang sinabi ng region at kung ano ang sinabi ng national office, kung di po sa kung ano ang ire-report ng mga principal ninyo. So if we have school administrators here and you wish to offer monolingual classes, I suggest that you start with your language mapping as early as now so that you provide the necessary justification for the offering of these said classes. Now, I fought for this very hard. Unfortunately, it did not make it in the final version of the IRR of RA 12027. But I'm still optimistic hanggat hindi pa nalalabas, baka naman po maipasok. But this is present in the November 2024 version. I was very insistent in saying that we should have some sort of a strong form of structuring the sentences na dapat ang priority natin yung monolingual classes muna. And so if you take a look at this bullet, schools shall strive to establish monolingual classes by grouping learners with the same MT in the same sections. And only if they fail to establish these monolingual classes, only then will they revert to the use of Filipino and English. Meron po akong draft na ganun, along with other stakeholders who are like-minded. Unfortunately, this did not make it in the latest version that I saw. Okay? But again, I'm optimistic that this will be provided space in the draft IRR. And you will find it goes to say, further, DepEd shall establish the minimum percentage of learners within the class who speak and use the same MT for the class to be classified as monolingual, provided that the said percentage shall not be less than the majority of the learners in the class. So right here, we try to provide a little bit more structure para hindi naman po masyadong abstract pag binaba sa field at maging malinaw po sa kanila kung ano po yung gustong sabihin nitong implementing rules and regulations na ito. I am very sad that the monolingual classes are not going to be prioritized in the newer draft of the IRR. But again, because this is still in the finalization process, I am optimistic that this will be made explicit in the document. Okay, so if you wish to continue offering monolingual classes, or if you wish to continue offering MTB-MLE in your respective schools, then these are the requirements. You will find that they're very similar to the four minima. We would like an official orthography developed and published by the KWF, provided that the KWF indeed has already developed that orthography for your mother language. Officially documented vocabulary, again published by the KWF. We're going to work very closely with them, such as glossary, dictionary, encyclopedia, or thesaurus. A grammar book, literature on languages and culture, like big books, small books, pictures and storybooks, wordless picture books, and the availability of teachers, napakahalaga po nito, in the school who speak and are trained to teach in the mother tongue. If we get to work on the IRR some more, I will be providing certain provisions there na kapag walang teachers, maybe we can tap into the communities and look for para-teachers who could also serve as teachers in our monolingual classes. Ano po? So these are the updated requirements for MTB-MLE implementation should you wish to offer monolingual classes. Okay. The language curriculum framework, along with other frameworks that we have developed, will stay the same, okay? So once again, we reiterate our goals, which are literacy, communicative competence, and a great sense of cultural identity. We want to establish these goals upon the completion of the language curriculum. We want our learners to be able to read and write. We want them to be able to use language appropriately. We want them to have a great sense of self. Ano po? And the only means to do that is if we are able to deliver our curriculum effectively. And how do we do that? By adhering to the big ideas of literacy, language, and text, by making sure that pedagogy, learning resources, and assessment are founded on sound theories of language acquisition and learning. I am very grateful to ASELT for providing a platform where we can speak with our school administrators. For so long, the DepEd Central Office has been limited to communicating with school administrators because that's the way the bureaucracy works. Ano po? From the national office, we can only talk to regional offices. But right now, through ASELT, we are able to talk to you. And so, I wish to tell you that this language curriculum framework and our matatag curriculum is only beautiful on paper. But you will give life to it. You will breathe life into this document. Kasi kahit gaano kaganda yan, kapag hindi po maayos ang ating implementation, and implementation will fall or will rest on your shoulders, okay, then that curriculum is bound to fail. And so, as our job in the Bureau of Curriculum Development comes to a close with the development of this curriculum, it is now your job to make sure that the curriculum is effectively delivered. Kapag po may nakita tayong mga guro, halimbawa, na gumagamit ng mother tongue dahil hindi naiintindihan ng mga bata yung English as a target language, is that a right or wrong practice? I hope that you're thinking that it's okay. At kapag kayo po ay nag-evaluate ng mga teacher, you do not deduct points against them because that is truly how learning works. It's a messy process. You cannot immediately be a master of that language. You cannot immediately understand that language without your mother tongue serving as a crutch or support. So sana po, along with this new curriculum, your frame of mind and your practice will also change to adapt this new curriculum para sabay-sabay po tayong na susunod at naaabot ang ating standards. And that is the end of my presentation. Muli po, maraming salamat kay Dr. Cheche Suarez sa lahat ng bumubuo sa ASELT at syempre po sa lahat ng mga nakasama namin ngayong umaga. Thank you for taking time out of your busy and restful weekends to learn more about our curriculum and to learn more about your role in making sure that this curriculum is effectively implemented and delivered. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Miss Ayet Ferriols. Can we give her a big round of applause? Ating mga virtual clap. Yes. Thank you so much. Umpisa pa lang yan. So imagine what we can talk about at the panel discussion. Your insights or questions will be accommodated later, but we have to continue with another talk, this time with Brother Roderick Motril Aguirre, who is a dedicated education professional with extensive experience in teaching, reading and literacy program development, curriculum development, and consultancy. He served as a college professor at Philippine Normal University from 2004 to 2009, focusing on module development, research, and extension programs. He later became an education consultant for ACLAT at Dunong Publishing, contextualizing instructional materials from Singapore for the Philippine setting. In 2010, he joined the K-12 Secretariat, contributing to the Department of Education's K-12 program development as a junior curriculum consultant and writer for language arts and universal kindergarten. In 2014, he worked with USAID through RTI PhilEd data to contextualize early grade reading and mathematics assessments in Waray-Waray, and later assisted DepEd in developing national entry and exit assessments for the campus journalism program. Concurrently, he served as a curriculum consultant for the Sisters of Mary Schools Philippines, where he is also part of the community as a professed brother under the congregation's Confraternity of the Virgin of the Poor. From 2022 to 2024, Brother Ricky once again collaborated with DepEd in revising the K-10 language arts curricula, contributing to the development of the National Reading Program and the initial designs for the revised Arabic Language and Islamic Values Education, or ALIVE, curriculum, based on the general shaping paper of the Matatag curriculum. He also spearheaded instructional materials development in DepEd Region 1. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Brother Ricky Aguirre to talk about school-based language programs. Brother Ricky?
Mayong buntag, maubay nga ngayong mataran. So thank you very much. And my presentation will be anchored on Ayet's presentation on the current language policy. But before I proceed to concretizing these policies in our own school atmosphere, environment, let me summarize all those that have been discussed by Ayet, so that at least we anchor, and I anchor on all the school-based language programs that I'm going to share with you on these policies. Now, shifting to my screen on my PowerPoint presentation. There we go. Un momento, por favor. There we go. I think I have not shared it yet. Share. Have I shared it? All right, there we go. So I would like first to make a distinction between the language policies from pre-2013 and the MTBMLE that was ushered in through Republic Act 10533 and also Republic Act 1057, also known as the Enhanced Basic Education and the Universal Kindergarten. Now, just to look at the differences that we have in the pre-2013, that would be the multilingual policy. The medium instruction is primarily on Filipino and English because we still were under the bilingual education policy. Now, in 2013, we now have the mother tongue in early grades to Filipino and English. Again, later on, we're going to discuss when we talk about mother tongue, what do we mean by mother tongue? Are we talking about Philippine languages alone, or are we talking about home language, community language, or all other levels of languages, or all languages in the Philippines, including Mandarin, Spanish, or a form like Chabacano, and Tagalog could be considered as also empty. Later on, we're gonna discuss that. Also, the focus on languages would be all other languages in pre-2013, all other languages in the Philippines are all considered auxiliary languages. So tama po ang sinabi ni Ayet kanina na before the mother tongue-based multilingual policy was ushered in our educational landscape, educators have been translanguaging, using all Philippine languages as a language resource to ensure that our students learn and understand what they are learning from the different subject areas. Now, in our current language policy, there is now more of an active, there's more an active development and consideration of mother tongue as a primary language and auxiliary language, which I think it was already been explained by Ayet through the matrix that she showed, that there's a certain level, certain grade level in the continuum or learning continuum in the Philippine basic education that the mother tongue has a great role, especially in the early grades, to ensure that there's a transition from MT to the two official languages. I don't want to say target language, we say official languages for grade 2 onwards. That's Filipino and English. The legal basis of all this language policy, especially for pre-2013, is anchored on the 1987 Constitution, while our policy on MTBMLE is anchored on Republic 10533, which is again also should be anchored on the Constitution. Now, the educational goal of the pre-2013 language policy is more of national unity, identifying that Filipino, regardless of the Philippine languages, and the languages that we speak at home or kung anumang wikang ginagamit natin sa ating lipunan, kasi maaring hindi ang wikang ginagamit natin sa bahay, maaring hindi yun ang wika sa lipunan at maaring hindi rin to ang wika sa paaralan. So ibig sabihin po neto, ang Filipino and English, these are official languages in the Philippines, identified official language by our Constitution that unifies all Filipinos, regardless of cultural backgrounds and regardless of the linguistic differences. Now, in the MTBMLE, our current language policy, it provides strong linguistic foundation in mother tongue. Again, the mother tongue should not be just considered as all Philippine languages. It could be any language for that matter. The smooth transition to Filipino and English. Apologies for that. So therefore, the salient point of the current language policy is that it now allows a more participative aspect of all other languages in the Philippines. Now, in terms of training and materials, in the old policy, it was clear and easy to implement in materials development and teacher training development because it is only targeted on two official languages, English and Filipino. Now, there are limited training materials in regional languages, especially for the IP program. But in the current language policy, now the teacher capacity is now transcending towards multilingual, allowing teachers not just to use the official languages, English and Filipino, but be mindful of the languages that students speak as an L1 or some mother tongue to be a resource for learning. Now, given this kind of summary, here are some of the key points of our current revisions of the law. That's Republic Act 12027, primarily in the medium of instruction. All right. In the medium instruction, the law mandates a reversion to Filipino and English as a primary languages of instruction for early education, aligning with Article in our provisions in the Constitution. It's saying that we revert back to allowing our students to be literate and competent, communicatively competent in the two official languages, English and Filipino. And therefore, our goal is to allow using all languages in the Philippines as language and literacy resource. Now, also a second selling point on these revisions is the optional use of mother tongue. While mother tongue is no longer compulsory, it may still be utilized as an auxiliary medium of instruction in monolingual classes if there are still identified places in the Philippines and individuals who are still monolingual, and provide certain conditions conditions are met. Now, given all of these key points, here are some of the things that I have been implementing in the schools that I manage in the Philippines. And these are, all right, what I suggest and I propose. Educators, most especially our school heads, must view content areas as part of the learning continuum. It cannot be a compartmentalized or compartmentalization mentality that language arts is a different discipline from other subject areas. With the current language policy, we now know the power and the pivotal role of language in literacy development in the different subject areas. Because the goal of our education is not just to use the language, but to use language as a tool and a vehicle for our students to become literate. And that ensuring that our students develop knowledge and skills progressively across grade levels. And also view that language plays crucial role in facilitating an engagement in various content areas. And that meaning, hanggat hindi natin naiintindihan kung ano ang gamit ng wika sa pagtuturo at pagkatuto, hindi natin tinitingnan na may malaking importansya ang wika sapagkat pagtuturo at pagkatuto ng mga bata. Baka ang tinitingnan lang natin na ang pagtuturo ng mga asignatura ay nakatuon lamang po sa content. Paano natin maituturong content kung walang language element of that? By this new language policy, we're now able to clearly identify what are the primary official languages that we want our students to acquire. Kahit gumamit pa, ayon sa ating polisiya, kahit gumamit ka pa ng translanguaging approach sa pagtuturo natin ng ating asignatura, at the end of the day, lahat ng mga wikang gagamitin po natin ay para matuto ang bata, maintindihan ng bata ang mga konsepto, ang mga dapat niyang matutong kasanayan in English and Filipino. Yan po ang ibig sabihin ng polisiya na to. Now, I propose, this is what I've been doing. Now, just to graphically present this interpretation of the law, this is what I've been doing. Now, the content areas are viewed as a language continuum or a learning continuum. And that, again, kung makikita po ninyo, nilagyan ko po ng iba't ibang kulay ang mga asignaturang ito. Ibig sabihin po nito, they have their own different contexts, they have their own different pragmatics na nangangailangan ng wika. Now, in this policy, ang sinasabi sa atin, ang primary goal po natin is to use Filipino English as a primary MOTL with auxiliary and support of mother tongue. Pero posible po ang English ay mother tongue din po. So, mas madali po ngayon or ang Filipino or Tagalog ay mother tongue din po ng mga bata. Maaring pong in cases like what Ayat has mentioned, there could be no monolingual individuals still in the Philippines, so far-flung places where there's no electricity and no radio. Posible meron po tayong mga monolingual places, magta-transition ngayon. So, ibig sabihin po mga kapatid, ang paggamit po natin ng wika para sa pagkatuto ng mga bata po natin, ay dapat malaman natin na hindi ito dapat national level ang identification or regional level or division level. It must be on the level of every individual learner. So dapat kailangan talaga malaman natin kung anong mga wika ang mga wikang ginagamit ng mga bata, say in a particular school. So tama sa iyat po na dapat ang language planning talaga and linguistic mapping or language mapping ay dapat nasa level ng school. Unfortunately, our schools and our school heads and our middle school administrators are not well trained how to do language mapping. So tama po sinasabi na yan na magkakaroon po ng polisiya na ilalabas. Now, given that continuum, ito po ang mga ginagawa ko po to ensure that this policy is implemented in the school. Number one is that it should ensure curriculum alignment. So I suggest that all schools should devise a school-based language policy. All right? Bakit po? Dahil posible po sa isang school, nasa isang lugar po tayo, maring na isang division po tayo, pero sa bawat school po ay nag-iiba-iba po yung na-identify po na primary language. All right? So, hindi po posible po na ang magkatabing schools po ay magkaiba ang kanilang school policy because the language mapping identified different sets of languages from the students. Remember, estudyante po ang tinitingnan natin when it comes to MT. Alright? Hindi po yung geographical. Kasi maaari po ang mga bata ay nasa say sa Leyte or sa Leyte, pero within Leyte po ay marami pa pong mga wikang ginagamit. Maaring sa Tacloban po ay may a different kind of waray as to the different kind of waray in Samar. So ang sinasabi po natin ay hindi po natin dapat tinitingnan na ang wika, na ang mother tongue ay geographical ang ating pagkaka-identify. It should be on the individual levels of our students. So to ensure that subjects are taught primarily in Filipino, so kahit in-identify, nag-language mapping po tayo at in-identify natin na ito ang mga wikang ginagamit ng mga bata, huwag po natin kalimutan na ang sinasabi po ng ating current language policy, ang goal po ay maging literate ang mga bata in Filipino and English. Pag sinabi po nating literate, ito po ay mga nakasulat or printed, it could be visual, pero printed din po ito, or basta nakasulat na po siya, dapat in Filipino and English. All other languages, like the mother tongue, as auxiliary support, there are oral language support to help our learners become primarily literate in Filipino and English. So with this po, ang ginagawa ko po sa mga schools na hawak ko, dito po sa Cavite at sa Cebu, I clustered subjects or the teachers primarily, the teachers handling subjects into Filipino cluster and English cluster. In the Filipino cluster, these are teachers handling Filipino language arts subjects, makabansa at araling panlipunan, and values education. Kasi ito po nakalagay sa CGs na ito po ang mga primary MOTL. So I call them Filipino cluster. Okay? Base po sa ating graphic presentation kanina. Now, there's another cluster, English cluster po tayo. Ito naman po ay English language arts subjects, teachers, English language art, and then science, and then mathematics. So, ibig sabihin po, ang ginawa ko po dito, dahil po dalawa naman ang clustering po, itong mga asignatura na to ay nagkakaroon po ng LAC session, which again is one of the issuances of Department of Education to provide continuing professional development in the school level through LAC sessions, that hindi dapat ang pagpaplano ay separate ang Filipino, separate ang makabansang values education. Kanina nasabi na po natin na ang wika ay nakakatulong sa pag-intindi at pagkatuto ng mga bata sa mga konseptong itinuturo sa other subject areas. So mangyayari ngayon po, ang ginagawa po natin dito ay dapat ang Filipino ay tumutulong sa gamit ng Filipino sa asignaturang makabansa, araling palipunan at values education. So highly interdisciplinary po and multidisciplinary ang approach po natin ayon sa prinsipyo po na pinalabas, prinsipyong inilalabas at sinasabi ng bagong polisiya po natin sa wika. Same process goes with the English cluster. Alright? So, hindi na dapat separate ang tingin po natin kasi pinapakita na po ang importansya ng wika. Now, sasabihin nyo, nasaan po dito sa disenyong ito, nasaan po ngayon ang other language in the Philippines? Sasabihin po natin, ang pagtuturo ng wika at asignatura gamit ang isang wika like Filipino and say values education ay pwede po sa delivery ni teacher. Pwede mag-trans-language si teacher ayon po sa mga na-identify po ng mga wika na naiintindihan ng mga bata. Alright? I will not linger so much on this so kasi mag-usap-usap po tayo later on. Another one is on teacher training and capacity building. Ang problema kasi, ang dami po natin mga trainings na ibinibigay sa mga teachers on language. Pero mostly, pag sinabi kasi nating language, ang training ay binibigay lang po natin sa mga English and Filipino teachers. Pero given this kind of paradigm, na ang wika, ang MOTL ay gamit sa pagkatuto ng asignatura, mga konsepto sa mga bawat asignatura or content areas, dapat din po yung ating mga content area teachers, our math teachers, our science teachers, and all other content area or non-language content area subjects should also have trainings on the language. So, ang mga teachers po, itong ginagawa po namin, we've already launched this year, we provide our teachers with content knowledge proficiencies. Ibig sabihin, dapat alam mo ang mga ituturo mo sa asignatura mo. Ngunit dapat alam mo rin ang gamit ng wika sa asignatura mo. Dahil kahit Filipino yan, or English po yung ginagamit mo sa asignatura yan, nag-iiba kasi ang language use. Nagbabago ang Huwag na nating malalim masyado, ang mga pagkakahulugan sa mga salita. Halimbawa, ang salitang root in science may be different as used in root in mathematics. So, dapat alam ni teacher na gumagamit ng asignatura na, yes, gumagamit ako ng Ingles or Filipino, ngunit ang struktura ng pangungusap, ang mga gamit ng salita ay nagbabago ayon sa konteksto ng isang asignaturang tinuturo ko. So, ang ating polisiya pa, sinasabi po sa atin, mga school heads and teachers, na ang language trainings are not only for language teachers, but all content area teachers. And that, by sense, we could say all teachers are language teachers. And vis-a-vis, all language teachers, all content area teachers are literacy teachers. Also, on the third area is the pedagogical knowledge proficiency. Hindi naman tayo nagtuturo lang ng content. Hindi naman tayo nagtuturo lang ng konsepto ng ating asignatura. Tayo po ay nagtuturo ng gamit ng wika sa asignaturang yon. Therefore, ang ating mga stratehiyang gagamitin po natin must hit both content and language use in the content. Kasi content lang ang ating tinuturo, ang ginagamit natin mga strategiya, pero naiiwan po ang wika ng content. Kaya makikita nyo, bakit po ang isang bata, sana mga school heads dyan, sa mga teachers na realize, so, bakit parang literate naman na siya sa Filipino and English, pero bakit hindi siya literate sa Filipino, sa araling panlipunan, at hindi niya matransfer? Kasi nga, nawala yung language element. Remember, language is a vehicle for literacy transfer. Iba ka naman na pagtuturo ng araling panlipunan at pagtuturo ng science ay content lang, hindi niya tinuturo ang wika ng content na yun. Alright? Ang dami kong sinabi, no? Di pa ako galing. Now, the third element naman, I will not expound on those kasi para may discussion kami, is assessment and monitoring. So implement language policy or proficiency assessment to gauge students' competence and teachers' effectiveness. So ang implement namin this year, support to the policy, is that hindi lang po natin dapat titingnan ang assessment and evaluation and monitoring on the side of the students. Dapat pati rin po ang mga teachers kasi posible ito po ang level ng pagkatuto ng mga bata dahil maaring hindi rin kabisado ng teacher. So maaari po, ang titingnan po natin that teaching and learning is a two-faceted process. We're not just gauging the capacity and the learnings of our students, but we're also looking at the perspective that our learners are learning only this much or this much because this is what our teachers can only do. And therefore, teacher capacity muna. Let's assess and profile the capacity of our teachers on content, on language, and on pedagogical knowledge. Ma'am Ruth and I, Dr. Gutierrez and I did I hope Dr. Ruth could, you allow me to do this, share this. We had this exploratory research done on the content knowledge and pedagogical knowledge of language teachers in a certain division in the Philippines. And we found out that their content and language and literacy proficiency is really low, which shows, well, it's translated also on low literacy and low content scores from their students. So ibig sabihin po nito mga kapatid na palagi po natin inaaway si teacher kung bakit mababa ang ROI ng ating through our learners learning. Remember, content and language, they always go together. So baka tingnan po natin, baka hindi natin nabibigyan ng tamang trainings ang ating mga teachers. And how could we provide them with trainings kung wala tayong database? Kung ano ba ang pangangailangan nila? Minsan kasi nagbibigay tayo ng mga training that ito lang ang gusto natin, ito nakikita natin. Are these needs-based trainings on both, on content knowledge needs of our learners, of our teachers, language proficiency of our teachers, and the pedagogical knowledge that they need to deliver the subject area? Now, same din po. Kung ganun din po ang pag-profiling natin sa teachers, ganun din po ang profiling natin sa mga estudyante. Therefore, we go back to the cliche that goes, we cannot give what we do not have. So, ibig sabihin po sa ating language policy, wag lang po natin tingnan ang pag-implement ng polisiyang ito sa ating mga estudyante. Dapat ang pag-implement ng ating polisiyang ito, language policy po natin, multilingual po, ay ang mga teachers natin. Dapat ang perspektibo din nila mabago na multilingual, na lahat ng resources or language and literary resource available are all possible tools that could support our learners in their learning journey. Next and second to the last point is instructional materials development. Now, in the policy, it says also MOTL. That's medium of teaching and learning. So we have the language. These are two elements in MOTL. We have the language of teaching, which constitutes vocabulary, syntax, semantics, and pragmatics. And we have the language of learning. Vocabulary, magkapareho sila ng elemento. Ngayon, ang problema natin, posible ang language of teaching, ibig sabihin ang wika, ang level of proficiency ng wika ng teacher ay hindi pareho ng level ng language of learning of the students. Now, research have shown na, well, also part of the EDCOM 2 results, na hindi nagmamatch ang ginagamit na wika ni teacher sa bata. Hindi nakakatulong sa pag-transition ng pagkatuto ng bata sa pag-acquire ng language proficiency on a certain level. Kaya nga po sa language arts curriculum, I think Ayat could have mentioned already, nakalagay po doon ang mga certain standards na ano ba dapat ang language level for Key Stage 1, Key Stage 2, and Key Stage 3. I think we're going to detail on that on the next webinars. So the goal of the policy is for schools to ensure that the teacher's language meet the needs of the language of the learners, and that the language of the learners is able to approximate the language of the content. Well, the teacher represents the language of the content. Nakuha po natin. So papasok po dito ang sinasabi po natin na corpus analysis. Dapat ang teachers po natin marunong humanak. Ano mga salita ang dapat matutunan ng mga bata? Ano ba dapat ang struktura na dapat makuha ng mga bata, matindihan ng mga bata? Hindi yung level ni teacher as an individual language user ang kanyang gamit ng paradigm ng pagtuturo. Dapat ang tinitingnan ang level ng pagtuturo ng wika gamit sa isang asignatura sa isang baitang. Alright? So, ganun po. So, hindi pa masyado natin itinuturo ito sa field kasi parang ang basihan po natin ng MOTL ay ang level ni teacher at ang perceived level ni teacher na dapat ang mga bata ay maka-assume and assimilate. Hindi pwede. Meron po tayong standards. May language standards po tayong in-establish in the continuum. Finally, ito yung sinabi kanina ni Ayet, yung school-based language mapping. Now, this is what we've been doing in the language mapping dahil wala pa pong nagpapaba po sa atin sa field na implementing rules and guidelines. Ito po dapat, itong ginagawa naming language mapping na posible po na ang home language ng bata na L1 ay maaring hindi pareho sa school language or the official language we have established in schools as per the new policy, English and Filipino. And that there's a possibility also that even if they say they also know and they have a certain level of knowledge of the language of the school, their proficient levels may not be at par with what we want them to be able to understand and the use of the language. Therefore, sa language mapping po natin, dapat in-identify po natin ang home language, yung school language. Kasi paano kung yung home language identified po ng mga bata ay wala naman po sa linguistic capacity ng teacher. Diba? At the end of the day, dapat yun pa rin ang target natin. Na whatever these languages or oral languages or MTs that our students could speak, the target is these are all language resource, literacy resource, so that we could use them to guide our students or to make meaning in Filipino and English. And of course, domains of use. Anong level ng pagkakagamit? Kasi baka bigs lang ang gamit ng mga bata. Ito po ay basic interpersonal communication skills. So ita-transition pa natin po yan sa kanilang CALP or Cognitive Academic Language Proficiency. So these are what we suppose that I have been doing in the schools that I manage in elementary and high school on when it comes to language mapping. So hindi kami sumusunod sa geographical identification of the mother tongue na ang Cavite ay dapat Tagalog. Paano kung may mga lugar kagaya ng Hawkong School, mostly English talaga, or I cannot say Philippine English, I could say. In some other cases naman doon sa Cebu, sila po ay Cebuano nga ang kanilang community language, pero the home language is prevalently English. Diba? So these are some of the discrepancies in identifying and creating school-based language program. Finally, I would like to say thank you for coming over, and I think Doc Che and our two panelists, we are now ready to discuss at length all what has been presented. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Brother Ricky. Can we give Brother Ricky a big round of applause again? Thank you. Thank you so much. Before we proceed, I just want to remind everyone, especially that we already have over 300 participants in the room, that your participation in the event means granting ASILT your permission to be part of the recording of the event. Photos and videos that may be used in ASILT's official website, social media platforms, and the ASILT forum, and ASILT-initiated research and publications. Please feel free to leave the room if you do not wish to give your consent. Thank you very much. To those who are asking, we are not going to give a copy of the recording of this webinar to the participants in the room, but we may make this available in our website. So please wait for further announcements. Okay, we are now ready for the panel discussion and open forum. Again, thank you, Brother Ricky and Ms. Ayet. Please join me now as we move on to the next part of the webinar. And our panel discussion, as you can see, will be done with an open forum so that we can engage everyone in this conversation. That means everyone in the room, please use the chat box. If you have some comments or suggestions, please chime in. But also, please help me welcome as she joins us. Here is another well-respected educator and scholar, Dr. Mary Ruth M. Gutierrez, full professor designated at the College of Advanced Studies of the Philippine Normal University, Manila. Dr. Mary Ruth Gutierrez is a senior faculty serving as program lead in graduate reading education. She is a consultant resource speaker of DepEd's Bureau of Curriculum Development for the National Reading Program and for the Matatag English Language Curriculum. She served PNU as head of Center for Reading and Literacy and director of Graduate Research Office and Graduate College Representative to University Curriculum Management and Instructional Materials Office under the leadership of Vice President for Academics. Welcome, Dr. Mary Ruth Gutierrez. Can we give her a big round of applause? Ma'am Ruth, please join us now as we begin our panel discussion. Let's see, maybe the panel members can also help me look at some of the comments and questions if there are. But I'd like to begin with probably one question that many of our participants here today have in mind, because this is in a way moving us to another phase, right? To another context. So it's somehow a transition for us. So maybe Ms. Ayat can address this one. How do you think DepEd will ensure a smooth transition now from the mother tongue to Filipino and English as the primary languages of instruction?
Yes, hello, Doc Che. Thank you. Thank you for that question. This is a very important question that we need to address, ano po, kasi like I said, we're currently straddling in between two language policies. And so what's going to happen? Because this new law, RA 12027, effectively just demolishes everything that MTB-MLE has built. Now, the ray of light that we are seeing at the end of the tunnel is the provision for optional implementation of monolingual classes. And so, it all will start with an effective language map that our schools will have to identify. Once again, I'd like to reiterate that it's not the regional offices, it's not the division offices who will do this. It's going to be a language map at the school level. And so at the school level, we are going to identify which languages exist. Because as much as possible, although RA 12027 no longer espouses the use of mother tongue, because of this optional provision, we are still provided with space to accommodate the language that our learners use, the language that they identify with, the language that they know best. And so we start with that. We start this strategic step towards transitioning from one language policy to another by first developing a language mapping framework so that we can identify ilan po ba talaga yung pwede nating mabuo na monolingual class. Okay? Next, of course, will be teacher training. This is very important. Along with teacher training, and equally important, I'm glad that we have our school administrators here. It's not enough that our teachers are equipped with the knowledge and the pedagogical know-how. It's important also that our school administrators are equipped with the same knowledge so that they are able to foster an environment that supports our teachers to effectively implement these changes. Okay? Hindi po natatapos ang training sa mga guro. Kailangan equipped din po ang ating mga school administrators so that they can provide the support that our teachers need. Now, we're also going to be looking into salvaging, if that's the right term, certain learning materials. As you know, we have procured so many materials in the era of MTB-MLE. Ang tawag nga po namin sa MTB-MLE ano po ay Helen of Troy. It is the program that launched 1,000 ships, 1,000 learning resources, 1,000 training programs. And so we want to salvage that because MTB-MLE is a sound program. It's just a matter of being able to implement it well. And so we have learning resources, napakarami po nila. Nakakatuwa nga po because for so long we have aimed at intellectualizing our Philippine languages. And MTBMLE served as the vehicle towards that. And so we want to get all of these resources. Kung magagamit po natin, gamitin po natin. Kung mapapaganda po natin, pagandahin pa po natin. And so that's the most concrete means of moving forward as we transition from this old language policy to this new language policy. Ayun po, Dr.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ayat, for that guidance. No? And before we proceed, Ma'am Ruth is here. Maybe you might want to greet everybody and also share your insights na rin.
Yes, thank you, Ma'am Chair. Naimbag na bigat yung amin. Yun lang. Good morning, everybody. Thank you. We have changing policies, but as the brother Aguirre said, there's a reversion to English and Filipino, but our mother tongue will always be there as a language resource. When I say language resource, no matter the language, use it for helping facilitate learning. But the target language that we want our students to be competent in is in English and Filipino, borrowing from the presentation of Brother Ricky. There is a home language and school language. Are they the same? Do we want them to be the same? Definitely not, because school language is academic, which is not true in home language. So what is the role of home language, whatever you call it, mother tongue, native tongue, first language? The role is it's your pedagogy. It's your resource to help our students learn our target languages. And by constitution, unless you change a constitution or you have other constitution in the Philippines, it clearly states Filipino and English. I hope we begin with Filipino and English and other languages, but these two are the targets minimum. Other languages we can use as resource, and maybe later on, our students' own volition, voluntarily they may want to learn other languages, go ahead. But for early literacy learning, better to initiate them to target language of the academe and use mother tongue or home language to facilitate the learning of such. I think that's the meaning of mother tongue based multilingual education. You learn different languages based on the mother tongue. You do not learn the mother tongue, but you use the mother tongue to learn other languages. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Ruth, for emphasizing that again, even if we're transitioning from RA 10533 to RA 12027, we see the value of the mother tongue or the mother tongues. Can we just also clarify that it is possible for a learner or for any individual to have more than one mother tongue because of simultaneous bilingualism and simultaneous multilingualism. And so when we're siguro, Ms. Ayat, no, and everyone, Brother Ricky and Ma'am Ruth, when they're doing the language mapping, let us not make it a problem to identify just one mother tongue kasi pwede pong mother tongues. Hindi po problema yon because we are in a multilingual community. So, do we have questions from our participants? While we wait for that, maybe Brother Ricky, you have something else to say, to add to what we were talking about?
I do agree. The mother again, a lot of teachers are saying when they heard about the suspension of the mother tongue, suspension of the mother as a subject area. Bayan, klaruhin natin yan mga teachers. Clearly wala pong mother tongue subject, but it does not discount the use of mother tongue, okay, as a language and literary resource to help the teachers deliver the content. Again, primarily, si teacher ang gagamit ng translanguaging. Diba? Si teacher dapat yun. You don't expect students to, remember, we're still teaching them to be proficient in the official languages, and therefore, they are still learning to become proficient in the language. But there's a possibility that the target language, an official language, is not within the language plethora or portfolio available for our learners. Posible po na ang ating pong home language ay hindi yun ang target natin sa school language. So maaaring hindi niya naintindihan. So ang goal po natin is, ngayon, we identified natin ang kanilang mga mother tongues, kaya nga multilingual eh. May mga batang, kagaya po sa inyo, ako po ay lumaki po ako sa isang bahay na ang tatay ko po ay nag-Espanyol. Ang nanay ko po ay Bisaya. Tapos ang aking pong grandparents naman ay Inglesero. So I grew up in a community na sabi nga nila, it's the first language. How could I identify personally which of these three languages that I'm exposed at a very young age is my L1? Kasi kung balik tayo sa definition ng L1. So may marami dyan na mga bata, kagaya po nung dito sa Cavite, may mga batang lumalaki na Korean. You know what I mean? So we cannot just talk about mother tongue as Philippine languages. We cannot discount that, you know, technology is now have a huge part in the multilingualism in the Philippines. May si Ma'am Ruth sa Hope ata niya, di ba may mga Mandarin na mga bata? Mandarin speaking, hindi Mandarin na bata na to. Oranges ito ng mga bata. Mandarin speaking. Lagi ko na yung na speaking. Kasi baka sabihin, ay may mga oranges pala. So, point here is that let's go beyond. Ang kagandahan sa polisiyang to is that we're expanding our definition of language use and the power of languages. Okay? Languages. And again, wag po natin sabihin that just because we identified certain languages as empty, there are lesser language than the others. When I talk about language vitality and language privilege, ang target lang natin kasi talaga muna, ang target natin, constitutionally speaking talaga, is for our students to become literate and Filipino. And of course, we also consider Philippine English. Tama yan? In fact, we promote Philippine English as one of the brands of English in the world. Emerging nga po siya, and therefore we cannot discount that idea. So, sige po, yun po yung gustong sabihin na, again, that's not limit our definition, our idea of mother tongue as all other languages in the Philippines aside from English and Philippine. It could be any, okay, languages for that matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Ricky. Since Brother Ricky has already mentioned translanguaging, I just also want to emphasize that what we're talking about here is that the kind of translanguaging, yung shuttling between and among languages, that is used as a pedagogical tool. So pedagogical translanguaging, meaning it should be systematic, it should be purposeful, it should be deliberate. Hindi siya pwedeng anything goes na kasi hindi na ako makapagsalita ng Ingles, pupunta na ako sa language kung ano ang alam ko. So I cannot speak English anymore, nagno-nosebleed na ako, therefore hindi ko na kaya, I will shift to another language. No, we use the mother tongues, including Filipino and all our local languages in teaching, let's say, English, because that is what the students will understand. And how do we do that? We design lessons using techniques in pedagogical translanguaging. So, pinaplano po yan. It is systematic. Kung meron tayong art of questioning, dapat meron din tayong the art of translanguaging. Diba? So, yun, that's something that we want to emphasize. Therefore, also, can I just mention this? Because this is something that I usually get as a comment from the teachers that we train, those that we meet, na since we're addressing school administrators and school heads and leaders in this forum, we have to give our teachers some room to use the mother tongue and the mother tongues and the other languages that can help in the teaching of English. Kasi minsan daw may mga administrators, may mga nag-o-observe sa kanila that will say, oh, nagtagalog ka, oh, nagbisaya ka, bawal yan. We do not encourage that. We want to make sure that we use translanguaging, pedagogical translanguaging whenever necessary. And when we catch our teachers doing that while we're observing, then let's find out why it was used. May purpose ba? Kung may purpose, then maganda. Okay, thank you so much for that. I have another question, and I think this is something that I can ask Brother Ricky. How does that mother tongue now, MTB-MLE policy affect English teaching? Medyo nakadirect ako towards English teaching as already mentioned by Ms. Ayat kanina, because this is ASEL. Brother Ricky or Ma'am Ruth?
Could I start with that? Okay. I've been handling also been consultant to some of the private schools in the early grades here in Cavite and some, schools in Cebu and in Leyte. And what happened is that they're translating. The effect of the policy of mother tongue to teaching English or proficiency in English is that they translate. Nakakaroon na tuloy they use translating instead of doing translanguaging. Again, tama, dapat purposive po ang paggamit ng translanguage. Hindi, ang nangyayari kasi itinatranslate nila. Posible po kasi may mga salita, okay? May mga salita na ibang pagkakahulugan from a mother tongue to English or vice versa. And there's confusion. So literacy is compromised, meaning making is compromised in the process. So yun po ang kaklaruhin po natin. Pag sinabi po nating mother tongue as a language resource for learning English, does not mean translating. Klaro po yun sa shaping paper, di ba? Nakalagay sa shaping paper ng language arts na hindi translating. Ang pag sinabi po nating mother tongue as a language resource to teaching English or even to Filipino pero kasi English naman to target natin, it does not mean translating. It's still on the level of meaning dapat. For example lang po natin, na diminish po. I was able to observe one class. I don't want to mention the school where it is kasi baka masaktan po yung mga ibang teachers dito, baka galing sila doon. And then sabi niya, ganito po sabi niya, okay, so mayroon siyang binasang sentence and sabi niya, Budoy loves yung adobo, loves adobo. And then sinabi niya, you know what adobo is in English? That's marinated pork. Sabi ko, parang magkaiba yata ang semantics ng adobo sa marinated pork in English. No, these are a classic example of translating that meaning is diminished. It could be vice versa. So again, ang epekto kasi ng mother tongue should not be seen that we are trying to connect languages. Okay, connect languages in terms of translating. Sige po.
So clarify ko lang, Brother Ricky, no? So translation should be done very carefully in terms of the use of translanguaging. Kasi di ba translation is also a translanguaging technique?
That's right. One of the, correct. So, kung hindi, ang ganda ng example ni Brother Ricky, kung hindi appropriate sa context na yon, sa example na yon, para mas maintindihan ng mga bata, ang paggamit ng translation, then we should use another technique. Right.
Yes, to help students understand that concept of adobo. Nakakagutom naman. Baka mag-extend tayo ha. It's already 11:22. Time check lang. But I think we can still talk about other issues. Like may mga comments actually in the chat box. And this is something that I think we can talk about. Your take on the English-only policy. Who would like to start? Ma'am Ruth?
Hi, hello. Yes, Monche. I'd like to say, before I answer, that we've been talking about translanguaging. I'd like to emphasize that translanguaging could be a pedagogy, but not a curriculum content. It can be the content of our curriculum. This could be one way to let our students learn the curriculum, but never to have trans-language as curriculum content. Next, what's my take as regards and mother tongue and English? I can just quote the idea of comments about language interdependence and language interference. That one's proficiency may either interfere or help facilitate the learning of other languages. One common influence is that when we speak English, we sound native speaker of our tongue, and that's okay. You cannot make me follow standard American English. What's the standard anyway? I speak English being a Filipino using the influences of my regional or of my mother tongue. That's my brand of English. And therefore, we know that all mother tongues are important. But when we go to the academy, to school, we know that the priority is to learn to become competent in 2 languages initially, and later on, whatever languages you want to go ahead. Nobody stops you from doing so. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, sorry, Ma'am Che. English only?
Yes po.
Yeah. It's a resurrection of the days of long ago when Sabel was still young, and my teacher would let my student write the name of those who speak Filipino and pay piso and so on. Well, if you know only one language, then you don't know your language. Language lives because we use it. I think that's contrary to our idea and recognition of the fact that we are a multilingual country. So I do not support English only policy given this time. Only up to this point, no.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Ruth. Miss Ayet, I think you have something to say about this.
Dr. We were together just the other day, during the British Council event, and the school that espoused the English-only policy was present. And Dr. Ed Fermin from the National Teachers College, he said that they shouldn't be punished because they were simply underinformed. And I think that's worth highlighting. Nagkamali lang po yung school because they were underinformed. It's very clear to us as language educators that this kind of policy is archaic. It's something that we no longer should discuss because moving forward, a lot of literature, a lot of research has proven the effectiveness of multilingual education, exposing our learners to the language that they know best and utilizing this as a tool in targeting the language that we wish to develop proficiencies in. Now, one of our favorite studies, that's one of the studies that we always cite when we talk about MTBMLE, is the one done by Thomas and Collier in 1997. It's a longitudinal study over the course of several years, and it found that among the many approaches to teaching language, it was the dual approach, the dual language system approach that was most effective. At yun pong immersion, kung saan po papasok yung English-only policy, that was the least effective. And so if there's no other research that could do the same approach as that of Thomas and Collier to prove otherwise, then I believe that literature is on our side when we say that English-only policy is not the way to go. Instead, it is the exposure of our learners to all of these multiple languages, to make use of these languages as part of their repertoire, use these as tools to learning more about the language. This is where our education system should be directed at, and not going back to archaic practices like English-only policies. Ayun lang po.
Thank you, Ma'am Ayet. Can I go back to what you mentioned earlier in relation to that we need to prioritize yung monolingual classes, right? In implementing the new curriculum. Why, can you enlighten us on that? Why prioritize monolingual classes when we are a multilingual community?
Right. Doc Che, this is something, it's monolingual classes in the IRR, it's a misnomer. Unfortunately, it's the only terminology that we can agree with when you're talking to non-language majors, when you're talking to the people who are in charge of these laws. And they want it to be clear to themselves because they think that, oh, okay, I'm not a language major. And so when this goes out to public, my understanding is going to be their understanding. And so I'd like to, hindi pala ako nakapagbigay ng disclaimer, no? When we say monolingual classes, we're not expecting learners to just speak one language. We're trying to identify which languages are the more dominant in their society. So halimbawa po, pumunta po tayo halimbawa sa Region 8. I'm not sure if there are people from Region 8 here. Hindi, Region 5 na lang kasi very linguistically diverse ang Region 5. According to the Regional Office of Region 5, meron lang silang isang variety of Bicolano. But we know that that's not true. Right? There are many different varieties of Bicolano. Merong Bicol Naga, merong Rinconada, etc. Okay? Now, if we want to develop a better understanding of the linguistic landscape of Bicol, we have to go down to the grassroots, and that's the school level. And so if, for example, one school identifies, okay, our mother tongue or the language that is predominantly spoken in this school is Bicol Naga, and so we use that as our basis for developing these classes. Okay? Tapos kapag halimbawa po sa isang school, because there are certain schools that are linguistically diverse in themselves, ano? Sa isang school, iba-ibang varieties of Bicolano ang sinasalita nila. And so maybe that school can strive to create classes for each variety of language. Ayun po yung ibig sabihin natin ng monolingual class. It's an attempt to develop classes that focus on just one mother tongue because we know that the lingua franca method of the MTBMLE, it doesn't work. It defeats the purpose of mother tongue. Ang pinaka-ideal model po of mother tongue is the multiple monolingual model or the 3M model, kung saan sa bawat isang klase, meron lang pong isang recognized na mother tongue na ginagamit ng guro at ginagamit ng mga bata. Because what is the aim of MTBMLE? We want to facilitate comprehension. At the end of the day, we want them to understand what we are teaching them. And so to force our learners to use a language that is foreign to them or alien to them, something that they can't understand, then that defeats the purpose of MTBMLE. That's the wisdom behind yung monolingual classes. And I can see a lot of comments asking for the process about language mapping. Ano po? Unfortunately, right now, because the IRR is still being drafted, lahat po yan, yung pinag-uusapan po natin about the development of monolingual classes, the development of a language map, all of those will be enclosed with the IRR. So sa ngayon po, hindi pa po natin yan ma-share sa inyo. Hindi pa po namin kayo mabibigyan ng specific guidelines because the IRR will have to provide the specific guidelines. Ano? There's also right here a recommendation for a better term. Yes, I agree with that. Unfortunately, ayun po yung terminolohiya na naiintindihan ng mga politikong gumawa nitong batas na ito. Kaya po kami natatali doon sa terminology na yun. But we know better, ano po, language teachers. We know that in the Philippines, there's no such learner as a monolingual learner. Lahat tayo, halos lahat, ay multilingual. So, we are just going to operationally define monolingual classes in such a way that it is understood that that is what we strive for. A class that makes use of just one mother tongue at nagkakaintindihan po ang lahat doon.
Thank you so much, Miss Ayet. That's why I had to go back to that. Kasi when we talk about this amongst ourselves, we understand where that term is coming, the use of the term is coming from. But again, we have to clarify that given our audience today. So thank you so much. There is another question. I think we have a lot of questions, but it's already 11:32. I think we can accommodate just one more. And I think maybe this one will help synthesize what we've been talking about, and any one of us can address this. Yung question na, nagkamali po ba ang gobyerno na palitan ang mother tongue language teaching? Anyone? Brother Ricky, Ma'am Ruth, Ma'am Ayet?
Yes, Ma'am Chair, I'll give my take on that.
Okay.
Siguro hindi nagkamali ang gobyerno. nagkamali ang implementasyon ng mother tongue. Nowhere in the policies mentioned did it say we use mother tongue as a separate content, as a subject. I even validated and asked Brother Ricky when he presented all the policies. It did not mention there should be one subject for mother tongue. Because even in the PPST, Philippine Professional Standard for Teachers, it clearly mentions mother tongue as a tool for teaching, not as a content. I think that makes our implementation of the law a bit weak. We limit. In fact, making it as a subject limits the importance of mother tongue because it cannot be contained as one subject alone. It could be true to all as long as we use it as a pedagogy. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma'am Ruth. Sir, Brother Ricky?
Yeah. I think, one of the limiting element of the law is that, of course, I would agree with that the policymakers have, less or not proficient. They have less proficiency on the knowledge of how language works. So the way they define some terminologies, like I think empty was defined, limitedly in the policy. Na ang tingin nila ay local languages lang, regional ang level. So somehow nalilimitahan din ang pag-implement nito. But again, we need to understand that this is new in the Philippines. It might have been 1 decade of implementation, but remember, medyo bago po ang polisiya at ang mga programa na we consider multiple languages as a resource for teaching a particular language like English, di ba? So magulo pa yan sa utak ng mga teachers natin na nanggaling sa college, sa pre-training nila, na isa lang na wika dapat ang gagamitin sa pagtuturo ko. Ang target natin English lang talaga. So the greater challenge here na is not about who's doing the policy or not. It's just that it must be a wide discussion in all levels. Hindi lang po dapat ang mga policymakers na nag-usap-usap nito. Dapat po tayo lahat ay dapat nag-open up kasi we cannot just rely on certain idea, say the policymakers na limited ang idea. So let's continue talking about this so that we can expand more our discussion. So yun ang problema pag law naging law na siya. So sana ang nangyari po muna ay dapat nagkaroon muna tayo ng mga phases of implementation. So, nilagay sa law. So, ang nangyari tuloy, mamaya-maya magagawa na naman ng another law to supersede certain elements or provisions in the law. Medyo ang problema ng Pilipinas ay ura-urada. So, but again, I would say the purpose is right. It's to consider all languages in the Philippines to promote literacy. Yun naman po, tama naman po ang ating goals. But then again, let's continue discussing about this so that we refine it as we go through. Marami pa po tayong madadaanan. Baka meron pa po dyan mga nasa isang in cases po nga talaga tama naman, posible may isang bata na hindi multilingual naman siya. Talagang monolingual ang kanyang pagpapalaki sa kanya. Ano kung meron po talaga, pero posible o kaya meron ng plurilingual naman. We've been talking about multilingual pero there are other terms na kailangan natin pag-usapan. Again, technology is now changing the linguistic landscape in the Philippines. Baka we're still talking about multilingual in terms of, say, home language, school language, community language. Hindi pa natin nasasama ang media language, ang social media language na interfering now in our multilingual landscape in the Philippines. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much, Brother Ricky. Miss Ayat?
Doc Cheno, if I were to answer this question honestly, I may lose my job. So I will take a diplomatic route to answering the question. I'm looking at the question right now from Sir Christian Tumbaga. Nagkamali po ba ang gobyerno na palitan ang mother tongue language teaching? When we say government kasi, napakarami pong sangay niyan. And as part of the Department of Education, I will say this. We have a lot of stakeholders that are in favor of MTBMLE. We fought tooth and nail with Congress na wag pong tanggalin ang MTBMLE at wag pong matuloy ang RA 12027. So kung nagkamali po ba ang DepEd, ang sagot po dyan, wala pong choice ang DepEd dahil ang DepEd po ay sumasagot lang din sa kung ano ang gusto ng Senado. Nagkamali po ba ang Senado? Hindi ko na po yun sasagutin kasi po baka po mawalan ako ng trabaho. I will leave that up to you. But research will tell us the answer, ano po? It was very unfortunate. Just the other day, katulad po ng sinabi ko kanina, no, we were at a British Council event and one of the speakers emphasized that we were a trailblazer in the field of language education because we came up with MTBMLE, because we institutionalized it, because we stuck with it for more than 10 years. We were a trailblazer. No matter how messy the implementation was, no matter how wrong the implementation was, we were doing what was right. Ano po? And in the process of perfecting what is right, mistakes are going to be made. Yun lang po ang pinanghihinayangan ko sa DepEd at sa mga naging desisyon po ng atin pong lawmaking body, that they were not able to give us more time to prove that what is in theory could actually be seen in reality. Ayun lang po ang pinaka nakakahinayang doon. And so, because we're faced with this, it's either no MTB MLE at all, or we have this very small window of opportunity to still continue with it through the offering of monolingual classes. Ayun po, Doc Che.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ayet. And again, because of our limited time today, I don't think we can accommodate and answer all of the questions that we see in the chat box, but we are taking note of them. And we might even include some of them in our next webinars, because some of them might still be, I think, will still be applicable in the well, considering the issues that we're going to tackle in the next two webinars. But I hope that aside from addressing the questions that you have, that you continue to ask questions, because that's how we get to understand underlying reasons, underlying purposes for the kind of things that we do. So again, thank you so much, everyone. And at this point, I'd like to I'd like to ask your permission to allow me now to award our certificate of appreciation to our resource speakers and panel members. They're going to be with us for the three. So this webinar, the next one, and then in May, and another one, one in April and another one in May. So please allow me to read the content of the certificate. This certificate of appreciation is given to Ms. Ayet Ferriols, to Brother Roderick Motril Aguirre, and Dr. Mary Ruth Gutierrez for sharing their invaluable insights for this webinar on navigating old and new DepEd language policies, bridging the gap in teaching English in multilingual settings. Today, March 1 via Zoom, signed by me. Again, thank you so much, Brother Ricky, Ma'am Ayet, Ma'am Ruth. Can we give all of them a big round of applause? Thank you so much. And before we end today's session, may I invite you, I already mentioned, to the upcoming webinar in April. That's going to be on April 28th for Key Stages 1 and 2. If you think this will still be relevant to you, please join us for webinar 3 on Teaching Strategies for Multilingual English Learners, this time for Key Stage 3, May 31. So please join us. I'd also like to invite you to join us in our 57th ASELT Annual Conference Workshop on June 26, 27, and 28. Please, that's going to be Thursday, Friday, Saturday. If you can join us here at the Ateneo de Manila University, you may email us for more info and look for us on FB and IG. Just type in ASELT. Our website also, you can just look for us under the Ateneo de Manila University website. Just type in ASELT. And we also have another workshop this March 8, 15, and 22 on challenging the classics. That's critical pedagogy in the literature classroom with Miss Ines Bautista Yao. Also on site at the Ateneo. Please, again, you can email us and look for us on Facebook and IG. We would appreciate your feedback. If you can, please, may I ask Miss our assistants to put the link in the chat box. Please let us know your thoughts on this webinar. And finally, let us all have a group photo. True to our tradition as Filipinos, well, let's have a group picture. To those of you who would like to join us, please switch on your camera. And while we do this, I'd like to thank everyone again. Ma'am Ayet Fariols, Brother Ricky Aguirre, Ma'am Mary Ruth Gutierrez, thank you so much. I'd also like to thank Miss Vicky Calderon and Miss Angel for assisting us today. And everybody, everyone who's here with us today for choosing to be here on a Saturday morning. Thank you, everyone. Okay, let's have a group picture now. I think we can...
Can we ask them to turn on their cameras?
Yes, you may want to turn on your camera.
Okay. For set 1, frame number 1. Okay. Frame number 2. Frame number 3.
Thank you sa mga suki natin. I see familiar names and faces. Ang laging pumunta sa ASALT events. Thank you so much.
Salamat.
Thank you, DepEd. Thank you, Nea, for all the support.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Hey, done na po. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, everyone. Bye-bye. And I'll end the recording now.